everyone, welcome back to RSBN's coverage of CPAC 2022. This is day 2. I'm Grace Saldana, joined by Rep. Madison Cawthorn of North Carolina. How are you?
Oh, I can't be any better. Thank you for having me on.
So I've been seeing something going around on Twitter lately. It's called New Contract of America. I've seen different candidates sign on to it. What is it? Tell us about that.
So the New Contract with America, I've been frustrated that the Republican Party has not come out with a policy platform for the American people to buy into. And I'm sure you know, people in our generation always say, oh, the Republican Party is just the party of no. They're really not for anything. They're just against everything.
Right.
And unfortunately, that's a very easy position to have, to always just be against something. But I wanted to be able to create a roadmap for this America First movement to say this is what we believe in. We want to rip the power away from Washington, D.C. and give it back to the American people. And so that is the big reason that we've really started this New Contract with America. And we wanted to give an opportunity not just for candidates and for members of Congress to be able to sign on to it, but also a section where the American people can sign on to it. Because if I go to Washington, D.C. and I say, look, 30 million people have signed on to this and they want this done, I promise you, members of Congress are very fickle. They're very large cowards. If they feel the wind blowing them, they'd all go that way. And so if you go to newcontractwithamerica.org, you can read the policies. You can actually watch a video that describes the entire thing. But also you can sign your name onto it, so I can put pressure on these weak-kneed Republicans in Washington, D.C.
I love that idea because it's a lot like the U.S. Constitution, which is a social contract between the government and the people, and you kind of revived that sort of idea with America First candidates. It's kind of like an America First candidate pledge/contract, and I love it because I do think we need to renew some of that spirit here.
That is exactly the objective behind it, so yeah, you're very, very astute.
That's awesome. So your primary is coming up in May.
That is correct.
So what district again?
I'm in North Carolina's 11th Congressional District.
11th, and you guys are going to undergo redistricting.
Yes, so it's actually, let me set the stage for you. So per our state constitution, the legislature is supposed to draw the congressional maps. That's how it is in almost every single state. But for whatever reason, we have this unprecedented lawfare that's going on where they've decided to sue and say, oh, well, it was all gerrymandered. And now we have gotten to a point months later that the Supreme Court of North Carolina has said, you know what, we're not going to let the legislature draw the maps. We're going to draw them ourselves. And so in a state where we almost have the supermajority in our state legislature, where you should have a very strong Republican presence in Washington, they have now drawn it to where it's basically a toss-up state. Almost every single district is half and half. They've gerrymandered to try and keep all the large cities affecting all the rural areas, and it's just not right.
It's not right at all, and you're one of the youngest people to ever be elected to Congress, and you're so dedicated to the America First movement, and it's a shame that certain people are trying to kick you out of your office.
It really is, yeah. No, so they've filed a lawsuit saying that because I participated in an insurrection, and again, when they started saying those words after January, I realized, oh, perhaps they're just using this as a flashy headline, insurrection and sedition.
Right.
But now we realize they're trying to set the premise that under the 14th Amendment, anybody who had questions about the 2020 election can never hold office again. So if they're successful in this lawsuit, then anybody who had a question about the validity of what happened in 2020, they maybe posted on Facebook, posted on Twitter, spoke about it in a public forum, then those people will all be barred from holding office. And that is a dangerous precedent to set.
It is dangerous, and we can't let it happen. So how are you fighting back?
So we've actually filed a counterpunch lawsuit, one in federal court, where we're saying that this is completely unconstitutional. You do not have the right to do this. And also that they're barred where they say, oh, well, the burden of proof is on the accused, not the accuser. It's not how it works in America. You're innocent until proven guilty. Not a single person has been charged with insurrection. And so it's just a tactic, I'm sure, to try and drain us of resources. But we will defeat them because I believe the people and God are on our side.
Absolutely. I know that you're going to beat them because you've already come so far. They're not going to take you out now. And so what are you going to do for the people of North Carolina when you get reelected?
Well, I'll tell you, my number one objective is to serve my constituents in the mountains of western North Carolina. We have worked really, really hard since I've been elected to make sure that a lot of the subterranean water features, especially in Polk County, a lot of my other areas, are being taken care of. Also, I've got a large agricultural presence, and so making sure that they have their subsidies. I know it's odd to hear a conservative talk about wanting to give subsidies to farmers, but you have to understand this is a national security issue. When we're dealing with all these ridiculous low-cost fruits and vegetables that are coming out of Mexico and China and all across the world, where their governments are subsidizing them because they're trying to bottom out the market, we need to stand with our farmers. They're the people who put our food on our table, the best food in the entire world. We're the breadbasket of the world. One of the greatest facts I love all about America and all of history is that we actually are a net exporter of rice to freaking China. And so that makes my day. But we need to support our farmers, and so I'll be working on any legislation I can to make sure they get the subsidies they need to be able to stay competitive.
And that's one thing that the Republican Party has they've really forgotten to talk about the farmers and to address their needs, and that's why President Trump really rose to popularity in the rural areas, because he talks so much about the farmers and the miners and people who are doing those types of jobs. So it's really refreshing to hear you talk about that in your district.
Absolutely. Well, hey, I just really, I believe that we're going to see a revolution in this country from just young people like yourself and I who really believe in the founding values of our country. And we're going to just see this incredible renaissance of America coming back on the world stage as the world superpower, but also as the greatest place to live, where you can live in peace and prosperity on a single family income. You don't have to have both parents always working. I think that we just are going to have safe streets again, and our country's going to be great. But we're going to go through some hard times to get there, I think.
We will, but we will make it through the next couple of years as soon as you win your seat and as soon as we have the red wave in 2022. So
absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you for coming on.